Welcome everyone to a brand new season of Old Roommates.
Woohoo!
Season number 5, and we're starting off with a bang. We are revisiting The Godfather from 1972. So, leave the gun, but take the cannolis and enjoy it while we listen to our new season of Old Roommates.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Brian.
And this is Christina.
And today we are talking...
Welcome back, Brian.
Oh God, I'm sorry. Yes, welcome back.
Wow. You know
I'm
what?
just in the zone. I am in the
Listen.
zone. I have 18 pages of notes.
We can stop this right now. We can end on season 4 and just be done with it. Is that what you prefer? I am so sorry I missed you. Did you have a nice summer?
God, it flew by.
It really did.
It really did.
It always does.
It does, yeah. But you know what? I'm going to say something. I read this. Fine. It was a meme. But I read a meme. And it was like, we have just been tricked, hoodwinked, and bamboozled into thinking that summer is this amazing season. Mm-hmm. When really, we've just been conditioned to believe that because... Well, what?
Yeah, you mentioned this on our anniversary. At the beginning of the
Well,
this
you know
is so
what?
Perfect. This is so
no,
perfect.
good. No, fine.
Our last episode of the season,
Yeah.
you mentioned this.
Did they say it was an article or a meme?
I think you said it was a meme.
Oh, okay, good.
So, but no, I get it. I totally get it. And now it's perfect. It's actually full circle because here it is at the beginning of season 5. We're in, September, and it makes sense that you still feel that same way.
Yeah. But Christina, I remember you saying like a month ago, like, oh, we'll have the time. And it's like, yeah, we know we have August up, but I'm still working.
Right.
I mean, you're a school teacher. You don't know.
True.
But
That's
I'm
true.
kidding.
No, it's very true.
I'm teasing. No, but it's like, no, you have the most important jobs ever. But the point is, don't send me texts or emails, people.
Do it.
But I think it is that idea of like, summer is here, but it's like, I'm still working. I'm still working. I work, whatever. But all that to say, it was nice. I don't like the heat. I don't like the humidity. But here we are. With season number 5.
And we are revisiting The Godfather. I don't know why it took us so long to do this.
Oh, I do. I know.
Oh, because it's so long?
Because it's like 11 hours long. Yeah.
But it is a classic. It's 1972. Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, all those wonderful things. So, Brian, I'm really curious to know, what was your first experience with The Godfather? Where were you? How did you like it? Let's hear it.
Well, came out the year I was born, so I was...
0?
A month. I was like a month. I was a month and 4 days old. No, so I think when you're young, obviously you're at the mercy of what the things your parents watch.
Yes.
And I absolutely remember moments of The Godfather when I was like a kid. Mm-hmm. But
how old do you think you were? Like, do you think you were like 8? Like,
I don't know.
Seems like a pretty intense movie for...
Yeah, my parents didn't care.
Yeah.
Especially my dad.
I would say, your dad.
My dad didn't. Yeah, my mom cares. Yeah. My dad didn't care. I don't know, but so I will say the first full-length experience of The Godfather was 22 years ago.
How do you know this?
Because I was in Brooklyn. I had just moved there. And
gosh, I can't believe that was 22 years ago.
My now brother-in-law. Oh, I'm lying then. You're right. It was 21 years ago. Thank you. Yeah.
Such a new season of lies.
My now brother-in-law, Alex, is obsessed with these films. And he's also an amazing cook, like Carl. They're both incredible cooks. And he wanted to do this big, splashy Italian dinner. They're German, but they both really love Italian food. And so he wanted to do this big, splashy Italian feast and watch The Godfather. And I was like, oh, God, because I had never seen the movie in its entirety, but I definitely remember, like, the music and certain scenes and being like, I hope this is my thing. Like, it's just... I don't know. I know it's such a long movie and, whatever. but I will tell you that it wasn't my thing then. It really wasn't. It was just not something like it is a long movie. I grew up, my mom's side of the family is very Italian. So I think some of they weren't necessarily mafia, but there's a big
wow,
family.
You better watch yourself.
I know, I'm kidding. No. But it was like say the wedding, right? Like the wedding takes up a good amount of time. And just thinking like, I don't find like the novelty isn't quite there. I'm speaking completely on my own. I'm sure there's a lot of Italians that love this movie. But growing up in a big Italian family, and you know many of them, Christina, you've been to some of the family stuff. It's like the novelty for me is instantly cut in half because I know my family's Italian. I know a lot of that the lingo and the language and the hugs and this and that, and that kind of thing. So that part instantly is almost nullified. So then I'm left with this mob story, and mob stories are not my thing. Right. So I guess I was a little bored, but I could appreciate how much Alex liked it and working as hard on this dinner, and it was a really fun night. But I remember being shocked at those sort of at the killings,
at those shocking moments.
Yeah, because they seem to go as fast as like gunfire. It's like they don't just.
Wow.
Like no, you know what I mean? It's like, no, because when you think about it, like...
Well, I'm just thinking you're being quite punny. Like, it was as fast as gunfire.
No, because... oh, my God. Anyway, the point is like, I actually, weirdly enough, I actually appreciated those jolts of violence that say 20 years ago. Because I felt like the movie was a little sleepy. It was much more about, say, like, I don't know, behavior, relationships, and things that aren't quite said. And so I think I appreciated those little bursts of, oh shit, very stylistically, executed. There's another play on words for you.
There you go.
So that was me. But how about you? Do you remember the first time you saw this movie in its entirety?
I do remember the first time because I was well into my adulthood the first time I watched it. So I don't know if it just wasn't readily available. Mob movies aren't my thing either, so it's not something I would ever seek out to watch. I watched it. Who was I with? Somebody recommended it. I can't remember who it was now, but we rented it, and I was feeling the same way. I'm like, oh, this is a big commitment. Like, this is 3
well, if you rented it was probably 2 VHS tapes.
Probably. I don't remember, but. But yeah, I just remember feeling like, okay, this is a very big commitment. I have to like prepare myself. And, I don't blame Alex for making a big event out of it because it is sort of an event of a movie. Yeah. So, but I remember like, you hear certain things. You hear about like the horse head and things like that. You hear things. So I had known a little bit about it, but I wasn't really expecting it to be as relationship driven, like you said. Right? So I think it was actually a pleasant surprise when I watched it because it wasn't all gunfire.
Yeah.
So I think I liked it. It was very long and the scenes were very long. So I didn't love it. But I was glad I watched it. Like I was glad that
I'm really sorry, one more time. When was this?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was well into my adulthood, so I was probably I would say probably late 20s, early 30s.
I'm trying to think if that would have been like VHS or more DVD. Because you would have to have press rewind. Like that, I really think that The Godfather was a two VHS tape thing.
Probably was. Yeah, I don't remember. But yeah, so anyway, so I think, I did like it, and I was very glad that I had seen it. Like I was happy that like finally I was able to see it. I didn't watch any of the others. Have you ever seen any of the others?
No, I have not. And really quickly, you're a huge Al Pacino fan.
I am a huge Al Pacino
fan. And what was your take? Do you remember what your take was back then on him?
I think I loved him. Yeah. Like I just think he's just so cute. Like I just find him very attractive back then. And I was trying to think, that was 72. When was Dog Day Afternoon? Do we remember?
75.
75. So Dog Day Afternoon was after Godfather. Yeah. Anyway. That was our birthday episode for those who haven't listened to that one. Right. It was, I don't know what number it was, but it was back in October. Anyway, so about almost it's almost a year ago. Crazy. Anyway, yeah. So all that to say, I liked it. Mm-hmm. I liked Al Pacino in it. I didn't like the Marlon Brando cheeks.
This is then you're talking about,
yeah. Okay. Yeah, the then. Yeah. It just seemed like he had something in his mouth. I never felt like that was his true face.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, I think I was pleasantly surprised, and it was a solid like.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So what about now? When did you watch this?
I rewatched it over the course of 2 nights. I started watching, I think, a few nights ago, and then I finished it the following night. Yep. I watched the first 2 hours, and then I watched the final hour the following night. Huh. I'm glad I did it that way. I wanted to obviously commit fully awake, but it was good, and I think I stopped it right where all of the Dons get together in that room, and Marlon Brando's talking about. So it was a good
place to start.
It feels like a new beginning in some way.
For sure.
Everyone's corralled together. So let's just dive in. I was immediately captivated by this movie. I really was.
Me too.
Like when he's like, "I believe in America," and you're just like, because I think being now middle-aged and you do appreciate, like what you're saying about relationships, and I earlier said behavior, and I think maybe I meant more so relationships, is like the you understand that, like, and I was explaining this to someone the other day, I almost found myself defending the violence, because someone was like, "Oh God, well, I mean," and it's like, because I was saying like, well, my family's telling me, well, they're not, I mean, like that, and like, no, I said, but it's like there's sensitivity. As much as they're like these big, strong Italian guys, and big, like so much of this is based in hurt feelings and disrespect.
Yep.
And I think so when you have Don Corleone say, like, he's hurt by this guy who's asking him for a favor. It's like, you never invite me over. I mean, these are the things he says. You never invite me over. And and he's upset because he went to the cops for help first before he went to him.
Yeah.
And he's hurt by that.
Yeah.
And Marlon Brando, by the way, really quick, I have to preface this. I have done no research. There's been so many things written about this film and documentaries.
Yes.
Like, this is not that podcast. We're just talking about rewatching it.
Just our opinions.
For middle-aged ones. So I might say something that's wrong. Like, I mean, I didn't read the book. There's been no research done on this. I'm pretty sure he won the Oscar for this. But I think he is. You believe both sides.
Yes.
You believe that he is this master of he has a moral compass, if you will. Like the guys that attack this man's daughter, he's like, mess them up, but don't kill them.
Yeah.
And but always at the root is how that person has made him feel in the past. You've been such a good friend to me over the years. I will help you. You have not called me back. Like, it's really interesting.
Yes.
And this was, not something I was super concerned about, the emotional well-being of Don Corleone. But as you age, as you see grandparents and parents get older and essentially lonely, that you realize, like, and I think with Don Corleone, it's like, who are his friends? Right. It's like they just go to him when they need something, most.
Right.
So, but I was really fascinated by that idea of even his children are like the part of the business. They're not, you kind of miss, and this, I'll bring this up later, you kind of miss that sense of, father-son loveness. And I think that's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
How about you? What was your first
Well, our time is up.
Well, I'm going to be honest, I do a lot of notes, because it's a long movie.
I feel like I have 6 pages of notes. Yeah. So my first note that I wrote was, he seems very reasonable, which was very surprising to me. He wasn't this like scary, unreasonable mobster. So yes, and I have the same notes that you have. It said, I wrote, he's only asking for a favor when he needs something.
Yeah.
And this really bothered him.
Yeah.
There was like no friendship. He never asks him over and things like that. And then I love that he understands that it's, this guy wants him to kill this guy.
Right.
And he's like, no, that's not justice.
Mm-hmm.
He did not murder your daughter.
Right.
This is not justice. And I'm like, wow, he is a very reasonable guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really, really funny. And yeah, you're right. All he's asking for is a bit of respect. And I think that what was surprising, and even definitely from like a middle-aged lens, is that they do have that moral compass. They do. They're not just killing people because they want to kill people. There's a reason for it. There's so much loyalty to the friends, and above all, everything else is the family. You know, you disrespect the family, you're dead. That's it. So I was very,
the rules are very simple.
They're very simple. I mean, honestly, like, I think I could live in this area, this family, because I get it. Like, it's not fuzzy. It's like, you just need to show some respect. Yeah. And don't mess around with the family. I'm
telling you, too, it's like, going back to the Italian family that it's like, you walked in, I know, America, that this is now frowned upon. But when I walked into my grandparents' house, if I did anything before I hugged them and kissed them on the cheek, holy hell, I don't even know. Oh yeah. And I think that that's very small scale of what we're talking about. But I think that is very much so an Italian thing. I remember one of the most terrifying moments of my life was going to see my great-grandmother.
Oh my God.
3 flights up in her house, and she was this little old frail woman that scared the living daylights out of me. And I had to go and kiss her on the cheek, and I was always afraid of her. Grandma Meta is her name. And because the last name, I never knew her first name. But it was like... Wow,
wasn't that so interesting?
Yeah. And so, but anyway, all that to say, it's that sense of, I mean, it's respect, but like it's like forced when you're a child, you grow into that, like, you just do it. Yeah. That's just respect. You don't need a reason to respect your grandparents. Right. So, yeah. But that's very fascinating.
Idea of the whole thing. My next note was that the wedding looks really, really fun, except for the poor photographer.
Oh my God, I know.
Oh my God. Snaps one picture and he gets smashed and the oh my God.
Oh my God, but how about that though? Like, my thing with the wedding was, great wedding.
Well, so fun.
But I felt bad for the Godfather. Every asshole's asking him for, like, I wrote, there are so many favors. It seems a little rude since his daughter's outside getting married.
Yeah, and he even says something like, can I enjoy my wedding now? Like, my daughter's wedding now?
Right.
And then he went out and finally was. What made me laugh, though, was when he's the rock star guy comes.
Oh,
the actor,
my.
And everyone starts screaming, and he's in his office, and he starts screaming, he goes, what is that loud sound?
But I'll tell you this, Christina, the timing, I wish we were watching it together, actually.
I know. That would
because
be something.
The timing of this, so Johnny, the singer.
Yes.
So we know a lot about him, like, basically, I mean.
The Godchild.
Yeah. Like, the Godfather helped him out to begin with. Yeah. He owes his career to this guy. And he goes up at the wedding, and he talks to him, and he's like, yeah, I really want this movie. And I didn't get it. Oh, Godfather, this was going to put me on top. I don't know what to do. And Marlon Brando
gets...
Oh, my God.
So
I love it. It's like, you can act like a man. Oh, my God. Just smacks him. And I was like, yay. Because at that point in the movie, and at that point in the wedding, you're so fucking tired of these people asking him for favors. And then this guy owes his career to Don Corleone. And here he goes again whining because now he wants to break into movies. Don Corleone, please help me. And he just gets beat down, smacks him.
And you know that he hadn't visited him in a while.
That's right.
Like, all of a sudden he shows up to the wedding, which was nice that he showed up. But yeah, so he's already on kind of on his bad side. But I loved that when he was like, you can act like a man.
Oh my God.
That was
great.
Really good.
Great.
You just wanted to smack him.
And it shows that Don Corleone has that edge to him.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh no, he can defend himself too.
Yep.
Or be aggressive, I should say. Physically aggressive. Okay, my next note jumps a bit. There's quite a bit of Italian slurs in this from, like, the police officer.
Honestly, but not as many as I had expected.
Yeah.
Like they really were a little bit more respectful, and even talking about like black people and other races.
I counted one. I counted one on the...
Yeah, once. Yeah, one. I noticed that once, too. But I was so surprised and pleasantly surprised that it wasn't all over the place.
So I did do a little reading. I don't want to jump too much, but I was confused. This isn't my next note, but I was like, we'll get to it. But to this point about the slurs and the racism and all that. So I was really perplexed. This is a negative for me. How Michael was so instantly psycho the second he got to call the shots. I didn't feel that coming, even though I'd seen the movie before. I made even less sense to me now through my middle-aged lens, how he was suddenly like, oh, no, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to kill a cop. I'm going to kill a cop. And it's like, whoa.
I couldn't figure it out either.
You've been fighting for America. You've been fighting for this country. So I did some digging and I just looked up, like, why is Michael so quick to kill everybody?
Yeah.
Like, he has that streak in him. Why? So apparently in the book, Sonny, James Caan's character, was consistently putting him down. Like, you don't have the stomach for this, Mike. You don't have the stomach. You're just a, whatever. And he goes, and I'm not going to say the word that was said in the book because it's a slur. But he talks about Japanese people and he's like, I was killing Japanese people. You don't think I can handle this? For the movie, I would have appreciated some context why Michael was so comfortable doing this stuff.
Right, because the only scene you would really see him in is with him and Diane Keaton, which, oh my God, she's so young. I recognized her voice immediately. I forgot she was in it. And I'm like, is that Diane Keaton? Oh, seriously, it took me a while to really believe that it was. You can tell immediately from her voice, but... She's so
There's
young.
Not a blemish, wrinkle, crack.
She's porcelain.
Porcelain skin.
Her skin is porcelain. It's beautiful.
How did you watch? You watched it on DVD?
I watched it on DVD, yes.
I watched it on Paramount Plus.
Oh, okay.
It was crystal clear. It was beautiful, yeah.
But the only information we have about Michael right now is he's in his war uniform. Right. Right? Because it's, he's at the wedding. He's talking to... Diane, Kay is Diane Keaton's character, and he's very casual about telling her about the family. Yeah. And he tells about the singer, right? About how he said, okay, it's either his brains on the contract or his signature. Yeah. Right? And he just very calmly, he's like, look, that's my family, not me. It's not me. Right. And he just, he's very separate from the family, and he has like this kind of high moral ground. He accepts the family for who they are, but he knows it's not him. So I agree with you. When all of a sudden he turns, now, I mean, I'm kind of chalking it up to, this is what I'm thinking. His father's almost dead. Like he dies. And all of a sudden he's feeling, and this is not in the movie, this is just something I've kind of created in my head as a backstory, but having him feel so guilty about not being there for him and the family. Now he's trying to make it up. Okay. But I feel like there's like a missing scene or something there about talking about that, about feeling that way. He has that one conversation when he leans over to him on his, sick bed where he says, I'm going to take care of you. Yeah. But it was kind of, it felt so short.
It's short. And in the book, it's even alluded to, again, I didn't read the book, just from what I understand, is that it's alluded to that him wearing his military uniform was him separated, keeping himself separate from the family. Yes. So it makes even less sense. So it's like, it's a negative. I mean, as much as I did like this movie on rewatch, it just didn't make any sense, which is unfortunate because Michael becomes the main player and you never really understand why he's so naturally good at it, is my concern there.
There needed to be some sort, and I don't necessarily, it's a criticism, but it's almost a compliment because you wanted more. In this 3-hour movie, I would have liked a couple of extra scenes. I really would have, just to kind of develop the feelings that he's having, even if he talked to Kay about it, or if he had a moment by himself about it, something that made you feel like, oh, okay, this is why he's at the point now. Like, maybe he's always felt left out.
Yeah. Tom, played by Robert Duvall, again, all these guys, so young looking. Oh my, I mean, so they're young, I should say. They're not even young looking, they're just young. Yeah. James Caan's super cute.
Yeah, right? I don't remember him being so cute.
Maybe that's a middle-aged lens thing.
Definitely.
So, one guy says, Mr. Waltz, I believe it is, and Mr. Waltz is the Hollywood guy. So Tom goes out there as the concierge, and is they saying that right? Concierge?
Sounds good to me.
And, and Mr. Waltz says, listen, I don't care how many of you, bleep, bleep, greaseball Goombas come out of the woodwork. And Tom goes, I'm German-Irish.
Yeah, I love that. That was hilarious.
And I wrote, Mr. Waltz is such an imbalanced character. He was really scary to me because he went from like telling him off, and then he invited him to dinner, really nice dinner, and then just screaming slurs at him, and how Johnny, the singer, ruined his starlet, who he was basically having sex with, and then Johnny comes in and sweeps her away and ruins her. Now again. This took place between 1945 and 1955. So women it's really it's their kind of their lot in life during this time. They are basically you have sex with one and they're ruined forever.
Oh, for sure.
And then that gives you the right to just smack them around whenever you want, and just completely not tell them major events in your life.
Right. Yeah. And I think that is, I mean, I just feel like that's sort of a common thing within the mafia. Just the women don't know. They don't know anything.
Yeah, they don't know what they don't know.
And in a way, I mean, I don't know. It's such a weird way of thinking, but in a way, right? You figure like the mom and the sister and everybody else, right? They put them up on that pedestal. They don't want them involved in this stuff.
True. Yeah.
They, but then they'll protect them. Yeah. I mean, the sister we'll have another conversation about, but it's almost like they're just untouchable. Those if they're in the family. But yes, I mean, if someone gets ruined, right? Yeah. Then it's all over.
He said that Johnny ruined this girl, and then the guy in the very beginning said these two men ruined her.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I
just wanted to say that wedding cake. Whoa. Did you see that wedding cake?
I don't know if I quite...
Are you kidding me? It took like 4 people to bring it out.
Oh, yes, yeah.
It was like so tall. I really like that baker, the Enzo character.
Okay, that is so funny you say that.
You don't like him?
I didn't quite trust him on the steps.
On the steps, I was so nervous about
I was like,
him.
oh shit, does he have a gun?
Yes, because it's... So, and I think... All right, jumping.
Outside the hospital.
For that particular... In that hospital, the fact that he came in and the music is swelling and everybody thinks he's going to be killed, the murderer.
Kill someone, yeah.
I did not trust him.
Right.
But he ended up being a good guy.
Yeah.
But that whole scene was so well done, I thought, because I think they are trying to make us feel like he is going to try to murder him. Like he is not the guy that we think he is.
Right.
And then even on the steps, like I'm still not trusting him.
Yeah.
And he's there with Al Pacino, and he's like, "Oh, pretend you have a gun in your pocket." And I'm like, he probably does.
Yeah.
But yes, it never comes. And he ends up being a good guy.
Yeah.
But yes, I did. I liked him, and I liked his conversation with him at the beginning and all that. But yes, back to the director. My notes are: look, the director is so hot and cold. This is one of my criticisms of this movie is this director, because he is just, you don't know where he's coming from. He's completely out of control. Like he's crazy temper, screaming, blah 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 blah, and then invites him to dinner, and he has this calm thing, like what you were saying, exactly what you were saying. And then all of a sudden he's crazy and he throws him out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did you invite him to dinner?
That's my note there, too.
Yeah.
He's so imbalanced. I wonder if he maybe is a little coked out or something. Because they do talk a bit about drugs in this, and that's really the whole pinnacle point of this family not wanting to get involved in this.
Which is
Is that funny?
Yeah. I forgot about that.
But Mr. Waltz is such a deranged character, and which makes that horse head scene all the more, insane. And oh my god.
And I remember, even so it's interesting, like on a rewatch, because you meet the horse and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, I felt bad for the horse. I really felt bad.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, we know what's happening.
But you know what, though? What did they say? He was
going to put him out to stud.
To stud. They weren't even going to race him.
No, but he was just going to have sex.
Yeah.
Like, he was being retired.
I know. Yeah. I don't know.
I just felt bad for the horse.
I guess it's a good life.
It's a beautiful horse.
For a horse, yeah.
But then the bed, that scene is so... the second watching isn't as effective.
Yeah, because it's so telegraphed. I mean, that whole, there's a huge long shot of like the outside, the exterior of the window, and like, you know something bad has happened.
But it's so effective when you don't know what happened.
Oh yeah.
And he's feeling around, and you see blood, and they're like, what did he do to him?
Yeah.
You don't even think about, and then the screams of terror. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's a very classic scene.
But here's the funny thing. Then Mr. Waltz is like, oh shit. And he does help him out. He does help Johnny. So I'm like, God, they already killed your horse. I mean, I guess like, that means like they're going to kill you too if you don't help. But, I guess there's no other choice when you're targeted by the mob.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say there was a death that was even more jolting to me than the horse, even though I've seen it all before. But that death of Luca Brasi.
Yeah.
Oh, with the wire being this hand being stabbed into the bar. They choke him from behind with the piano wire.
Yeah.
Like, you know it's gonna happen. You're waiting. You're there. You know it.
And this is an instance where knowing it's going to happen was worse, made it more effective.
Yeah.
The horse, not.
Yeah.
But knowing it was going to happen, you're just on the edge of your seat, like, oh my God, like almost like watching through your hands. Like I was
dreading the hand. I knew the hand.
The hand was the worst.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, like the acting of Luca Brasi when he's being strangled. Oh my God, you felt it.
It's so
scary,
so good,
terrifying,
so scary. Oh my God, all of it.
But I do like that the Corleones, going back to what we said a few seconds ago, is that the whole genesis of this divide within this mob family is the drugs. Yeah, they don't want to be involved in drugs. They don't want to do it.
That was amazing to me. I wrote down, I'm like, he is a pretty shrewd businessman. He understands that, the drugs may be the future, but he also understands that his business contacts will go away. Like, a lot of them will go away knowing that he's involved with drugs. So it's not like all this pure profit. And he really felt like, and I think, again, this is like about the relationships, right? He understands like the relationships that he currently has is important. And that if he turns to drugs, it's going to take it to a whole different level. That surprised me. That really surprised me. I thought he was... Because I forgot a lot about all these conversations, too. I thought when he was having this conversation with him that he was just sort of wheeling and dealing him. Yes. Like trying to sweeten the deal or whatever. When he was really and truly saying, no, I don't want anything part of it. Yeah. That was really shocking. And I had a little respect for him, I got to tell you.
And then Sonny spoke up.
Sonny.
And shouldn't have.
Never speak against the family.
That's right.
Never.
No respect. Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes. This is the Golden Girls. When Dorothy wouldn't let Dorothy flunks one of her students, and so he can't play in the football game. And so someone sends her a wrapped dead fish, and she's like, "What is this?" And Sophia's like, "Oh, it means Dorothy's Bornak sleeps with the fishes." Oh my God. Clemenza, watch out for the... Oh my God. This made me laugh out loud, and it's just a throwaway line. But he's like, it's the same conversation with take the gun, leave the cannoli. They're going to go kill this guy. The guy that's driving. This is another note I have about this movie that's a little on the negative side. They waste so many cars.
Oh, like, yeah, they really do.
When they're killing people, it's like they're destroying cars, or they're shooting someone in the head and the brain splatter on the windshield, or Carlo kicks the window.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But they're ruining entire cars for, like, I don't know. It's like sometimes they're their own cars. Like, why would you do that? Anyway.
Yeah, there was a lot of dramatic killings when... They have access to all kinds of things. They can just shoot the guy.
Yeah, like, right.
I mean, like, when they shot Don Corleone, they just had two guys with guns.
Broad daylight. In front of a fruit market.
Boom, 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 boom. Oh, and right in front of Fredo. John Cazale.
Yeah. From
Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah.
Yes. We talked about him a little bit on Dog Day Afternoon about how he actually died quite young.
Yeah.
But every movie he was in was like
Oscar nominated, very successful.
Like very, very, very successful. Like he was like the golden goose, right? But anyway, right in front of him. Yeah. And I felt bad for him.
But I like that Clemenza said, so they pick him up at his house, and he's like, "Hey, watch out for the kids when you're backing up."
I love that too. I was thinking, honestly, I
had the same thought. I'm like, oh god, all those kids are running around. All those kids are
running around. I love those little touches. I love those little little lines that they throw out there. Of course, don't forget the cannolis.
That's right. Right. I did love how in the hospital. So my very recent note is the hospital. I think a weaker movie wouldn't have shown them moving him to another room. Right. Because it's like that's a pain in the ass to move a large person who is fighting for his life into another room. I'm so glad they showed that.
Yes, I did too. I liked that a lot, and it added to the suspense too. The music's playing, and you don't know when these people are going to show up. You don't know if they're going to get him into the room in enough time. All of that stuff really, really worked in that scene, and the difficulty of them moving him. It's slow. It's not a quick process. Yeah. So I loved all of that. And it's funny watching this movie. You really just develop this like mistrust of everybody, right? Yes. I was actually thinking about that with the nurse. I'm like, is the nurse in this? But I was thinking, she's a woman. Like, they're not going to do that because she's a woman. Right. But I did feel at one point like maybe she has something to do with it. About, tipping people off what room he's in and everything. Right. So I was almost like, no, Michael, don't trust her. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was, just interesting. I also love the fact that it was very unclear if, the Godfather died.
Right.
It was very unclear for a while. You're not quite sure. Did he die? Nobody really knows.
I would have said maybe not so much blood when he got shot, because to me I was like, how is he going to live from? I mean, of course, I remember that he lived. Right. But like, how is it was worse than I remembered him being shot, and all the blood and all that. It's like he is an older man. Right. Like, he's pretty tough.
Well, and he was down and out for a while.
Yeah. True.
I mean, the time frame was a little bit shaky for me, but he was gone. I mean, he was in the hospital and out of commission for quite a long time. True. So, but yeah, it was definitely an interesting way to do it. Not super clear about whether he died or not. And then having them come back was really interesting.
My next note is about the restaurant scene, but it's really leading up to the restaurant scene. It is so suspenseful.
Oh my God.
And I think the way it's done, directed and timed, edited, is so good. And I'm talking like even the 10 minutes before that scene.
When they talk about what's talking about it. What's so interesting about that scene is I forgot that they talked about it first. For some reason, I didn't have a recollection of that. Yeah. And all of a sudden they start talking about it, and I'm like, oh wait, they did like plan this out like really, really carefully. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. I do have one criticism in this scene.
Sure.
Of them talking. I felt like Pacino was doing something a little bit odd. Like, I felt like he was almost doing an impersonation of Marlon Brando during this scene. He didn't speak the way he had been speaking even before or after. It was very low, and I get it, but he had like this clenched jaw.
I think he was trying to sound more imposing, more threatening.
Yeah, and I noticed it.
Or even more, even more whispering. Did they say something like talk low, or but like I can't remember, because I think they said like the place was like so everyone sort of keeps to themselves, and that and after the shooting you just stand up. Well, you drop the gun, you stand up, and you just walk. You don't make.
I'm not talking about the inside the restaurant. I'm talking about when they're making the plan.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not talking about inside. Okay. I'm talking about when he came up with the plan of of it. That little scene with Sonny and, you know.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it was kind of obvious to me. It just seemed, I don't know, he just seemed like he was trying to do an impersonation of Marlon Brando, and I'm like, oh.
I think to me it was just so shocking when he said, you know, shoot the cop, and they're like, you can't be a cop killer. Like, again, that moral compass of like, no, you don't shoot, you don't kill a cop.
Right.
Like, just very interesting. But I thought it was very suspenseful. I didn't catch the voice, but
it was so suspenseful. And I think that this movie is so interesting in that we know the plan beforehand. Mm-hmm. And you just assume it's going to go wrong. Right? Because we know what's supposed to happen.
Right.
And I think that is so effective in terms of being suspenseful.
He can't, but when he doesn't find the gun right away, we're like, oh, shit.
God, I know. Yeah. And we're all in there with him, right?
Yeah.
We're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then he was supposed to come out guns blazing. And he didn't.
And he didn't drop the gun right away after
and he didn't
either.
Yeah.
So
there were a lot of things that weren't exactly
super smooth.
Which seemed believable because he hadn't done this type of thing before.
Right, but remember it was his idea.
It was his idea.
So it's that funny thing. It's like, and then it's like, I don't know. But I think, again, I wished there was a little bit more context with Michael and how he was so comfortable doing this, how he thought to kill a cop, how he thought, you know, and then he said, well, we'll have the press leak a story about how that cop was mixed up in drugs, which is true.
And that all worked out.
It's true, and it all worked out. But it's like, he just knew he knew everything. He knew what to do.
Yeah. I mean, you could see, I did like his acting in it. I did like that he was, like, you could tell how nervous he was. And trying to be comfortable, but looking nervous and just being like, oh my God, he's going to blow it. He's going to blow it. But I really loved the scene.
The image of McCluskey, is that his name? McCluskey?
The cop,
getting shot while he's eating with food in his mouth. That image has been burned in my brain since I probably did see that when I was much younger.
Yeah.
Because I was waiting for that. It's much like the hand on the bar. That's one of those moments that you never get out of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I do have a negative. How hard did McCluskey hit Michael in the face? Because he has a bruise for about 6 years.
You know, I was gonna mention that myself.
It looked like he hit him in the, like, just down, because he hit him down, like, in his face. And I'm like, it looked like he hit him in the mouth and the side of the face. But he had a black eye. Then it was a huge bruise. Then it was like black. I'm telling Christina, for like 2 years, it was like he had this
I know
black
it was for like 2 years because he got married.
He still
met Apollonia. He's like,
yeah.
I'm like, why? Like, is it a scar? And then
he's
it disappeared.
in Sicily with Apollonia, and he still has the mark.
I wish it had been like a scar.
Yeah. Oops.
Like that.
God, right there. I'm just slipped.
I wish it had been because I noticed that too. I'm like, what the hell?
How hard is it?
It was really iffy about the time passing. I was confused about the time passing. Like, wait, how long has he been here? Because he's moved from one place to another. He had moved this way, like, to, you know, be away from the family. And these guys are, like, checking in on him and all that. The fact that he still had a bruise on his face, it just messed me up so much.
I know.
And what about, like, him always having the hanky? I wanted to look that up, but he always had a hanky in his hand. And I guess, okay, fine, yes, it's hot, but nobody else has a hanky. And he's, like, constantly, like, dabbing his face. And he constantly has... It was bizarre to me, that direction.
Yeah. I don't know.
But, yeah, he was there. I feel like he was there because... They said originally when he did this, you're going to have to be gone for about a year.
Yeah.
And at one point he asked, can I come back yet? And he's like, no, not at all. So it feels like it had been a long time. Yet he still has the bruise on his face.
So crazy. I also, this is another negative, and I don't, but it's like, I don't know if I really cared about the Apollonia storyline, but here's why. I didn't believe he cared for her for 5 seconds.
Right.
I felt like he was just attracted to her and he needed to have sex.
Right.
And I wrote in my notes, like, I do get the importance of some of the scenes. Like, obviously the car bomb is important.
Yes.
And I got this scene where he's talking to her dad and he basically makes him an offer he can't refuse. Right. Like, I get that. But that sequence goes on a little too long. I felt like if there was going to be some trimming to this movie... Mm-hmm. I think that stuff could have because it doesn't. I didn't get much out of it.
It seemed like it was a different movie. It seemed like it was a scene from a different movie because it's never talked about again. Mm-hmm. There's not a huge lead up. I mean, he's walking and he sees this girl and he sees the father and now he's courting her and they get married. Yeah. There's not a whole lot of lead up to it. Again, you're not really invested in the relationship because you don't feel like he really cares that much about her, right? He's just trying to do something with his time. Mm-hmm. It's not like he's planning on staying there for the rest of his life. He knows this is a temporary situation.
Thing. So why involve this poor girl?
So all of this, and then after it, it's never referred back to. He doesn't talk about any guilt. He doesn't talk about anything. The fact that he was married.
He doesn't mention it to Kay.
He doesn't mention it to anybody. Yeah. Does anybody in his family even know that he had gotten married? I don't think he ever mentioned anything. I don't think he ever uttered the word Apollonia after she was blown up.
Yeah. He didn't. I thought there was a line that someone tried to kill him. But you're right. He didn't say, my wife was murdered.
No. I mean, and maybe that was because he, this whole family thing, and I don't know. Maybe he was just trying to separate himself, or maybe it just seemed like a separate life to him, so he's just making a different life for himself. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It was very strange. The other thing I just questioned was like that whole car bomb thing. Like, obviously, it was his bodyguard that did this. Just judging from his face, right?
Yeah, totally. And he ran away.
Made it so obvious. But why, if you wanted to kill him, why didn't you just fucking shoot him in his head? Like, why is his bodyguard going to such extreme lengths to make a bomb, right? I'm sure he didn't, order it from Amazon, right? He had to make a bomb and rig the car to blow up when he drives, and this particular day, he has a freaking machine gun on his back at all times. He can't just sneak up. He can't just go into his bedroom at night and just shoot him and be done.
That's an excellent question.
Yeah, it was a weird, the fact that he did it made it weird to me. I wish they hadn't made it him.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then it was why didn't you just kill him? 2 days ago.
It is weird. That's a good point.
If it was just a hidden bomb, and maybe he didn't even realize it. Maybe he just is walking out to see, okay, Apollonia, and then, right? But did he have to realize that it was being? I don't know. It was just, I don't know. It didn't.
Well, Michael found out on the phone or messenger, however the hell it happened.
Yeah.
That Sonny. Right, Sonny was dead.
Sonny was dead, yes.
And then, because Sonny was killed, guns popping up everywhere. Talk about guns blazing.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
I
don't think I would have tried getting out of the car. I think just been I'm just going to lay down and try and sleep while the bullets enter my body.
That was so over the top. I'm like, really? There were two guys trying to kill the Godfather.
Yeah.
And how many people? There were probably 10, 15?
But I think it was because it was all the other families.
Oh, so it was a representation of every family?
I think so, because Sonny was the one that said, oh, well, let's talk about this drug thing. And they were like, Sonny, you should speak up more towards your dad and get him on board with this. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no. And suddenly Sonny was like, no. And so they're like, well, fuck, if we don't have them on board, this isn't going to happen. Let's just send a threat to the family and we'll kill Sonny.
All right. So now I'm a little bit confused because at the end, when he's talking to Carlos, Carlos admits he was the one that put the hit on Sonny.
That Carlo, I think his name is Carlo.
Was it Carlo?
Yeah, whatever. But I thought it was Michael saying that Carlo created that situation with the sister, so he would be on his way to the sister's house. So Carlo knew where he was going to be, and I don't think Carlo. I mean, Carlo was certainly behind it to a degree. I don't think Carlo had that much real power.
True, that was the confusing part of it. Yeah. I'm like, well, when did he get so much power?
I mean, we have to talk about that. but yeah, so all that to say, the car bomb, excellent point. I don't know why. Maybe the car bomb looks more accidental, but I mean, when you're dealing with people that kill each other every day, I mean, like,
everybody's carrying a gun.
Yeah.
Like, he has 2 bodyguards, for God's sake.
Right. But that scene with James Caan, with Sonny being blown to bits, I mean, I remember that scene too. Jolting.
It was unbelievable.
Crazy,
it was
insane.
like unbelievable. Yeah. Although I will say the first time he fought with the brother-in-law, I didn't feel like it was a very good fight. I didn't think it looked good when he went to like beating the shit out of the brother-in-law. I thought there were a lot of fake punches there. Did you notice that?
Yes.
Okay, good. I thought you would.
The first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, because you're so hyped up because Carlo's getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yes.
But then you really see, and you're right, like some of the punches don't land at all. They
don't land right at all.
And then he has like the thing of the trash can, but you can clearly see he's like banging the top of the fence. He's not banging Carlo.
Yeah, it was a weird
I think you're so hyped up, you're not supposed to notice.
Well,
but
I mean, in such a movie, you would think they would pay more attention to that detail. But
and they could have just had him more hidden. Like there's that point where he's like behind the hydrant.
Yes.
And that's effective and stuff like that. I mean, I'm just glad it happened.
I was so glad it happened too. He was such a dick.
But I will say, oh God. So Connie, played by Talia Shire.
Yes.
Who we loved in Rocky IV.
Let's
not forget. So her husband is just telling her to shut up every time she opens her mouth.
Yeah.
She is getting beat up.
Yes.
Beat up. Swollen faces, black eyes, busted lips. She is getting beat up. She now is pregnant. Mm-hmm. Noticeably pregnant. And she picks up the phone. And is Carlo there? She's like, who's calling? Da-da-da.
A
friend. Connie freaks out. She does not have the upper hand. She is incredibly vulnerable, being very pregnant. Mm-hmm. I don't quite know the logic of picking a fight. And I'm not, listen.
Right.
I want to separate this from real life. Okay?
Of course.
But through my middle-age lens, you learn this, like, that sometimes it's not always safe to just leave someone. You sometimes have to have an action plan.
Yes.
I don't think people should stay in abusive relationships, but I also know that it's not, people sometimes don't have too many options.
Correct.
Connie had some options. Multiple options.
She did.
But she also knows who she's playing against. Mm-hmm. Carlo, who is crazy. He has beaten her up plenty of times. He has no respect for her. He is cheating on her left, right, and center. And Connie decides that she is going to take every vase, everything, mm-hmm. salad. But what I found so bizarre is that if you're gonna go and do that, maybe throw it at him.
Right?
She's smashing things on the floor. But like, she clearly knows this is going to upset the beast.
Yes.
That is Carlo. So now she's breaking everything in sight. These are her things too. It doesn't make much sense.
Right.
These are probably gifts from their wedding, let's be honest. But it's like, girl, save your strength. He's going to start hitting you again.
Right.
And he sure as hell does. And then you hear her getting the shit. This is another problem I have with this scene. She gets clearly you hear her getting the shit beat out of her. She's pregnant. She's very pregnant.
Yes.
You don't know what happens to Connie after that. The next time there's a sort of a jump forward. I think it's the same child. Like, what happens?
Yeah, they never said anything about...
There's a baptism.
Yeah.
I guess the kid's okay. I don't know. It's like Connie wants Michael to be the Godfather.
Yeah.
It's kind of sloppy. It's a little sloppy. I don't understand Connie's motivation there.
Well, it's the woman. Like, the woman's storyline is, like, just not as important, I guess.
Yeah.
But my take on it was, I agree. I'm like, what are you doing?
She's overreacting, for starters.
What are you doing? Yeah. Do you not know your husband? Like,
right.
You're upset because he's not going to eat your meal?
I hate to say that, too, but, like, especially when she's so pregnant, he probably doesn't want to have sex with her. So it's like, I feel like, and he's such... No, meaning...
I know what you mean.
He's such a dog. He's such a dog that, like, was cheating on her anyway.
Right.
So, of course, he's cheating on her now.
Yeah.
I digress.
But, yeah, my only thought was that maybe she, because of the way she was brought up in the family that she was in, she always had that certain amount of protection. She was always, just always protected. So maybe she just never realized, like, the real risks. But I know she had been beat up before.
Yeah.
But she got beat up, and then Sonny came to her rescue.
And I would have thought that would have been enough.
Yeah.
For her to be like, I have to get out of this relationship. I know it's the 40s, but still.
Yeah, I think being divorced is probably not a good thing.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think once you're in there, you're in.
So now, I feel like I'm going fast. Any notes that you didn't get to? Because my next note is the big meeting.
Okay, so one of my notes is, let's see, we talked all about that. So he comes back and Michael comes back and he looks for, so first Kay, he's been gone for God knows how long.
But he's also been back for a while.
But not yet. She comes back and she's like, I need to know where he is. Give me this letter or whatever. And I'm like, Jesus, Kay is a very patient woman.
So my note on that is Kay just a sucker? Or is she just a product of her time? So, and remember, Tom doesn't take the letter. He said, legally, if I take that letter, that suggests I know where he is and when he'll be back, and I'm not taking the letter. So,
but she's just like, waits around. She comes from New Hampshire to see him, and without calling. It's just so very, I don't know. I would have liked her to be a little bit stronger. But even when he comes back, he was back for like a year, he said, right?
Yes. She's walking the kids out and she's like, how long have you been back? He goes, about a year. A year.
So I'm like, hello. Like,
and then he says, I want to marry you.
He says, Kay, I need you and I love you. And I wrote, after how many years?
Yeah.
And she just takes him back.
I don't understand.
That fell short for me. There needed to be something else in there. Like, that was like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And she also probably suspects that he is in the family business now. And, like, here's your out, lady.
Right.
Like, why would you go back?
Yeah, here's the thing, too. It's like, I feel like if there was any time when your own husband says, you are forbidden from asking me about what I do for a living. Yeah, that's a red flag.
That could be a red flag.
Maybe a red flag there.
I would say.
So, the big meeting.
And
who stands up when all is said and done, but our good friend from Moonstruck.
Yes. What's his name?
And he stands up and he says, I don't believe in drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And you really believe he's going to support Don Corleone. It doesn't quite go that way.
No.
I don't believe in drugs. I don't want it near schools. I don't want it sold to children.
Mm-hmm.
In my city, we would keep the traffic to the dark people, the blank, I won't say the word, begins with a C.
Yes.
They're animals anyway, so let them lose their souls. Holy shit.
Really? I mean, it's like...
I rewound it and played it and wrote it down. I was like, that is fucking chilling. And, quite frankly, not wrong in terms of what the setup was.
Right.
In real life.
Right.
That's constantly the Black folks have constantly had to go through that through history.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's like, get the crime over there, you know, and the cops will be busy over there, and then we'll do what we have to do.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It's just so crazy.
It's insane.
It is so crazy. I felt like that was so intense. I was just waiting for the gunfire.
Yes,
right.
Totally.
I was just waiting for it.
I agree, and then the whole thing is like you just don't trust anyone. Nope. So even when nothing's going to happen or nothing's, you know, it's that feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I did like, so this really jumps. I think it really jumps. Maybe it doesn't. Because I was also very engaged with this movie. Mm-hmm. Like it was really held my attention. But I loved the moment in the garden between Michael and his father. I thought it was just a really sweet moment. I thought the acting was really, really well done. I felt like it was probably one of the first and only genuine, like, conversations that they've probably ever had. Mm-hmm. And it was, to me, it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. It was really, really beautiful. And of course, it has to do with him taking over and all that. Right. So the business is at its core. But I just felt like it was a really, really sweet moment.
Yeah. I agree.
Nice.
The only thing I had in that scene was like,
oh, no.
To your point about then, when you, way back at the beginning of this episode, when you're like, the way he talks and like the cotton and all that, it was like, I mean, I know he's older now and all that, but it's like, can someone please hand the Godfather a throat lozenge? Like, it's that thing where it's like, where it sounds so sore and scratchy and weak that it's like, it's a little weird he's not like drinking some tea and honey or something like that. I mean, it can't just be his character. Like,
did you do any research on like the?
Oh no, I know. Yeah.
So it's not cotton.
What is it?
So I just did. This is the only research I did. When he auditioned, he put cotton in. So, and the reason is because he wanted his jaw to look more square, like a bulldog. So more menacing. So that's why he did it.
Okay.
But in the movie, they actually made a like jaw plate for him to put in his mouth. So he didn't actually have cotton during the filming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was interesting.
I do love this scene, that spastic, gunfiery scene where all the Dons get wiped out.
Yes. And I will say that just backing up, the scene with his grandson was really
oh god yeah
that was really touching too. Like I gotta tell you, middle-aged Lens, I really liked him. I liked Don Corleone. I thought he was a stand-up guy for the most, as much as you can be, with the values and morals and all of that. And seeing him play with his grandson, I'm like, this is so awesome, knowing what was going to happen. But it was just so cute and so loving, and just made me like smile. And the kid acts like a kid, where when he falls over, he still thinks it's all part of the game. Yeah, he's laughing, and it makes it so much more effective. Yeah. But so the I did like when all of the families were wiped out. There were a couple of the deaths that could have been a little bit more believable. Okay. Like there was one with like Mo, when he's getting shot his massage. In the eye. Yeah. He gets shot in the eye, and then he gently places his head down. I'm like, and all like the pink stuff comes out. Don't know if that's really what happened. Yeah. And then the other one was the guy that was falling down the stairs. I mean, I felt like he was just like placing himself, right? His hands were like the stunt work wasn't great. Himself. Yeah, the stunt work wasn't great on that. But like some of that shit was so fucking terrifying. Like the revolving door. Oh my god, so creative. Oh my god, super creative. Oh my god. Yeah, I liked that too. It was just great because you're kind of waiting for like, what's he gonna do next? What's gonna happen next? Yeah, and it's wrote Michael plays dirty. Yeah. And then I wrote, I'm glad Carlo got killed, but it was for the wrong reason. Yeah. I just wrote the brother-in-law's death was very satisfying for me. Yeah. I loved seeing him dead, and I love that he starts by saying, "I'm not going to make my wife, your wife, my sister, a widow." Yeah. And I was just like, "Yes, he is." But I really liked the ending scene, like the actual ending scene, where he's talking to Kay. Kay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost said Faye, but Kay. When he's talking to Kay and he's like, you can ask me one question. And then he lies. And she knows that he lies.
Yeah.
And you just, it's a great setup for a sequel. I mean, obviously, you know that there's going to be a second part. Mm-hmm. And just the door, like him kissing his ring, and then the door slowly shutting.
So, funny you say that. I found that door to close way faster than I remembered.
Oh, really?
I remember it to be much more dramatic and sad. And instead it was like, boom. I was like, oh, that door closed much quicker than I remembered.
That's so funny.
Isn't that funny? Because I remember the first time I watched it thinking that was so effective and so dramatic. And it just, like, the last thing you see is her face, like, not knowing what's going on. And then it just turns to black.
Yeah. Great. I thought it was a great
ending.
Great ending.
Yeah, but I can't get over that he lied to her. Like, he's like, he asked me one question.
Well.
And he still lied.
I just think that it's, he's setting himself up to be like, this is just his life now. Like, if he told the truth then, what then? Like,
right.
You know what I mean? And in a way, it was actually kind for him to lie, if you think about it. Because if she had said, did you kill him? And he said, yes. What is the rest of her life going to be? She's going to, every turn, she's going to feel like, he's murdering this one, murdering that one, murdering this one. At least with him saying no, she might know that he's doing all of these things.
He's also keeping her safe.
He's keeping her safe, and she can lie to herself this way.
Yeah.
If he said yes, then there's no lying to herself. Like, that's it. So she's choosing to live in the dark. He's choosing to put her in the dark. Because he knows what the rest of the life is going to be. Yeah.
So you never saw part 2 or part 3?
No. And you never have either?
No, and I know part 2 focuses on a young Don Corleone. That's Robert De Niro. But I've never seen it. I've never seen part 3.
I'm kind of interested now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Were they all pretty well received?
Yeah. 2. So I believe. Oh, Jesus. See. So, part 2 was, and I think did it win the Oscar for Best Picture? So, Godfather won Best Picture, and for Marlon Brando. The three guys, Al Pacino, James Caan, and Robert Duvall all got nominated for Best Supporting. And
did anybody win, do you know?
Well, I know when Best Picture, Best Actor, it didn't...
No, I mean the supporting?
No, they didn't win.
I'm just curious who they were up against. I'm going to look it up.
Part 2 was well received. I know it was nominated for Best Picture. It may have won. And then I think Part 3 was nominated. It could...
So they were all pretty well received.
Okay.
I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, Part 3, I think, it came out so much later. That I think, I don't think it was held up to the first 2. But... Right,
yeah.
But I think, comparatively speaking, it would,
So, the big question...
Yeah, Oscar. Oh, more or less about the same? Definitely more. I appreciated the relationships more, the drama more, like the... Yeah. And, yeah, I was really drawn much more into it. Yeah,
I agree. I really enjoyed it this time around. And I think it was, like, really long for me the first time. Mm-hmm. I didn't really... I didn't love it. I just liked it. Yeah. And it was more about, I'm glad I saw that movie. Yeah. Right? Hold on, I'm looking.
So obviously it was a little bit.
Yeah, let's see.
So the budget was between $6 and $7 million. It made around between $250 and $290 million.
Oh, wow.
It was the highest grossing movie of 1972, and it remained the highest grossing film of all time for a short period of time. I didn't write down what replaced it. Obviously written by Mario Puzo, who wrote the book, and directed by Francis Ford Coppola, who has done many, many, many movies, including Peggy Sue Got Married, which was one of my favorite movies.
I know. I can't believe we haven't done that one yet.
And did you find anything
I
out?
did. So the Best Supporting Actor category, that's what I was really looking at. So yeah, like you said, James Caan, Robert Duvall, and Al Pacino were both up for it, as well as Eddie Albert for The Heartbreak Kid. Okay. But Joel Grey won for Cabaret.
And Liza Minnelli won for Cabaret.
Yes. So Cabaret was the big...
Who won director that year?
Director was Bob Fosse.
Oh, for Cabaret.
Yeah.
Okay.
But producer was Albert Ruddy for Godfather.
All right.
So there you go.
What a year. What a year.
Right. And Eileen Heckert.
Okay.
For Butterflies Are Free was Best Supporting Actress.
Oh, okay.
And of course, there were no women.
Well, Eileen
nominated.
Eckhart, you know who that is.
She was,
Diane Keaton's mother.
Yes.
In First Wives Club.
Yes.
How funny.
That's full circle.
Yeah.
Full circle.
I have a match game.
I also have a match game. Would you like to go first?
I'll go first. Christina, Connie's wedding was rough. The women were so aggressive and constantly after each other's men. In fact, Connie didn't throw a bouquet. She threw blank.
All right, I'm just going to say, it's my favorite answer.
What? Why would that make sense? Connie's wedding was rough. The women were very aggressive and constantly after each other's men. In fact, Connie didn't throw a bouquet. She threw blank.
Well, I'll do something. All right,
ding. Oh my God. All right, Connie didn't throw a bridal bouquet. She threw blank.
Boxing gloves.
Oh my God, that's really good. I went a little sicker. A grenade.
Oh! That's
pretty sick.
That is sick.
That's pretty sick.
All right, so I also have a match game.
Can't wait.
Okay, so Enzo the baker. So he decided that he loves the family so much, he wants to join the family. He wants to join the family business.
That's sweet.
But he was, actually, it's funny you say sweet, because he was a bit kinder than the others. So when he wanted a favor from someone, he said he wants to give them a blank they couldn't refuse.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna give you a blank.
All right. I hope I didn't write too much, but I think it would still count because I was gonna write it and then I made it more specific. The judges would still approve. Ding.
All right. So Enzo the baker joined the family business, but he was so much more kind. He would give them a blank they couldn't refuse.
A coffee cake.
Oh, you know what?
What?
I think this might be a match. I said a muffin.
And
oh, come on.
It wouldn't match. I thought you were going to say
same
cake.
Ingredients.
So it's funny. You did the 2 F's and I did 2 F's. So I was thinking offer. You did muffin.
Oh, I didn't do that because of that. That's so funny.
I did coffee cake because offer, coffee, off,
I'm going to give you a coffee cake. You can't refuse.
I'm going to make him a coffee cake you can't refuse.
Oh my God, no. Don't do that.
Just like him.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
All right, so that was
Kids, don't
epic.
Okay. Moral of the story: don't do drugs.
I thought you were going to say don't do a Godfather impression.
Oh.
Sorry.
All right. That was The Godfather.
That was The Godfather.
And that's it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates.
Thank you for listening. Please remember to follow us on Instagram or YouTube, where we have our episodes as well as a little extra.
And if you have any questions about our show, any suggestions for movies we could revisit, reach out to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com.
Thanks again for listening.
This is Brian.
And this is Christina. Until next time.